Guys, I wanted to make a short video going over your assignment 2 sheet instructions for your outline and annotated bibliography. So this assignment moves you forward from the exploration phase into doing your actual research and gathering your sources that you'll use to construct your argument. So it's constructed of two parts. The first is the annotated bibliography, and the second is the outline. One of those terms you're probably familiar with, one of them you're not. An annotated bibliography is simply a works cited page with more information. So you'll do your citations like you would on your works cited page, and then underneath you'll have a short write up. Normally it's just a summary, but for you guys, you'll be doing a little bit more. And the second part will be an outline where you organize all of those support materials according to how you're going to organize your argument. And then you reflect on those choices and justify those decisions to me. So the first part, the annotated bibliography, has to have several parts. So the first is the citation. It has to be in MLA format. You can find how to do that on the Purdue OWL. If you just Google Purdue OWL MLA, it'll give you a style guide that'll show you how to format your citations correctly. Most of the library databases have citation generators that are pretty accurate. If I were you, I would always go double check your MLA citation format on the Purdue OWL. Number two, you'll need a summary of the source. This doesn't need to be overly big. It just needs to incorporate, what is the author's main argument, what evidence they offer, or what research do they do, and then what conclusions did they come to. Thirdly, an evaluation of the source. So is where it's strong, where it's weak, as it pertains to your topic, if there's bias, things like that. So how credible and how strong a source is this? Then number four, how are you going to use this source in your project? How are you going to use this source to build your argument? Be sure to organize the section alphabetically by the first word in each citation, because that's the same type of format that you use on your works cited page. So for this part of the assignment, you'll need to have 8 total sources. I know this sounds like a lot, but at least this way you'll have more than you need. It's always better. It's always better to have more than to have not enough. So you have some choice on what you can include, but you would need to have at least 4 scholarly sources from the library databases, so articles or books from scholarly publications, and then at least 2 magazine or newspaper sources. And those can be found on the library databases or through the library databases online. The second part is the outline. So this is where you will structure the information that you found while doing your research into a coherent organization for your argument. So this is kind of the sketch for the painting that is your argument that you'll put in your final paper. It needs to have a title. It needs to have an intended strategy for introducing your paper, a hook strategy. So are you going to use an interesting quote? Are you going to use a personal story, an anecdote? How are you going to hook your reader's attention? A working thesis statement, and now we'll go over this a little bit more later on in the semester, but a thesis statement is your main claim, what you're going to be proving, and then the evidence that you're going to offer to prove that main argument. So you need to have a working thesis statement. And then how you're going to organize your support, your source information. So how are you going to use them? Are you going to use them as a background to define something as an informational source? Are you going to use them as a competing perspective, a counter argument to counter yourself? Or are you going to use it as a support article where its perspectives are in line with your own? And then finally, you need to include some strategy for concluding your paper. Are you going to call back to the beginning, to a quote you used? Are you going to call or leave the reader with a call to action so that way they have some sort of next step to take? How are you going to conclude the paper to leave your readers with a good final impression? So for each section, you need to include a title. You must include the reasoning behind your selection and decision. So for example, if you plan on using a quote as a technique to hook your audience's attention, You don't necessarily need to have the quote selected, but you need to be able to explain why you think it would be a good choice to use a quote as an introductory strategy. If you look down, it has the rhetorical situation, the audience, the genre, the purpose, and the due dates. As always, if you have questions or if you're confused about how to do this assignment, feel free to email me. Again, my office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 12. If you want to Google Chats me, or if you want to email me, or if you want to make an appointment and come in face to face, either way, we can do it. But if you're feeling confused, if you're feeling overwhelmed, now is really the time to get in touch with me so we can handle it before midterm grades are due. All right, I look forward to talking to you guys soon.